The Baillieu government says its second budget includes the cuts Victoria had to have. 4,200 public servants will lose their jobs over the next 2 years in a bid to stop spiralling debt and create a promised $2.5 billion surplus in 4 years. Treasurer Kim Wells isn't ruling out the sale of public assets and outsourcing of public services. The plan comes as Victoria suffers the highest unemployment rate on the mainland and stands to lose hundreds of Qantas jobs. James Bennett was in the budget lockup and he prepared this report.
With $2 billion less flowing into Victoria's bank account, Treasurer Kim Wells has put the brakes on spending.
It's a tough budget, but a responsible budget.
The $155 million surplus delivered through job cuts. On top of the already promised 3,600 jobs to go under the Sustainable Government Initiative, another 600 Victorian public servants will lose their jobs, making a total of 4,200 public servants jobless over the next 2 years. Wage rises will be capped and fines up 12.5%. Necessary, the Treasurer says, to rein in expenditure growth from an unsustainable 7.3% a year. Further cuts and even asset sales haven't been ruled out, the Treasurer insisting that Victoria must live within its means. They seem almost inevitable if the government is to meet ambitious saving targets, $1.16 billion this year, rising to $2 billion in 4 years' time.
I think the government's given itself some wriggle room in the event that revenue doesn't turn out to be as buoyant as they've assumed in those far distant years, and as will probably be the case, there's a spending spree in the lead up to the next election.
Ms. Mills?
Yeah.
And what's that one?
That is 402.
Herschel Lander's Bridge Road boutique is a classic study in the income crunch behind today's brutal state budget.
Our sales are down something like 26% over the last 2 or 3 years, and that certainly means less GST revenue. Property prices in this area here have fallen by about 30%, so that reflects itself in lower property taxes, and rentals are falling as well. So by and large, a very depressed economy in retailing.
That also means less staff, therefore less in payroll tax for the state government. Only manufacturing, battling the added headwind of a super-strength dollar, has exceeded retailing's woes.
I guess we need the politician to step back and the statesman to step forward. We need a vision.
Previously scathing of the Baillieu government's lack of economic vision, the pre-budget announcement of hundreds of millions of dollars for new V-line train carriages is potentially good news for Jill Walsh, whose ARM group is one of 2 companies tendering for the contract to build them.
Indeed, very good news. Regional rail is very important to the manufacturing hub in Dandenong. We're very elated to hear the news that the government has decided to purchase new velocity trains. I guess my only reservation would say in the form of bring it on, bring it forward, government. Don't wait till 2014.
Victoria's unemployment rate is already the highest of the mainland states at 5.8%. The government is perhaps optimistically forecasting that to fall over the coming 4 years. If that's to happen, business says manufacturing needs more help.
It depends what happens with manufacturing in particular, because manufacturing has been hemorrhaging over the past 12 months or so. And what we need to make sure is the government, with its manufacturing dollars, and mind you, that's only about $14.5 million a year at the moment, enables manufacturers to take the next step.
On skills, the government has pulled money out of TAFE courses like business, clerical and hospitality to increase subsidies for aged and childcare, carpentry, plumbing and engineering.
We need to value add the jobs we've got. We need to increase our skill set. We need to become cleverer at everything we do. And there is a commitment from the government in the budget to assist with that. I do acknowledge that, certainly. But it isn't a good atmosphere in which to do business.
But despite today's news on interest rates, the economic mood isn't bright.
We've already had 43,000 jobs lost since the last budget. The government had to do a lot more.
If Victoria's proud blue-collar workforce needed any further indication of their dire circumstances, today further speculation Qantas will close its Tullamarine heavy maintenance facility, shedding another 400 staff.
Do you know if your job is under threat?
I have no idea. Yeah, you'd have to talk to Qantas about that.
What have you been told?
Oh, not much really, just that they're still in the process of consultation.
Working class Victorians are very, very worried. I've spent a lot of the last 6 to 8 months talking to people on picket lines and outside factory gates where they've been told that their services are no longer required. And that's why we need a proactive, pro-Victorian government.
But the surplus does maintain a long record of keeping the state government's living expenses in the black, which it says is vital for keeping Victoria's AAA credit rating. Another unexpected positive was an extra $330 million for strengthening child protection in response to the Protecting Victoria's Vulnerable Children inquiry. Business and economists have also backed the government's move to cut work cover premiums and spread its capital works program across a wide variety of road and rail upgrades rather than concentrating on any one big ticket item.
I'm not sure that a single big thing is necessarily superior than a collection of smaller but nonetheless useful things. I mean, with all infrastructure projects, the important considerations are not their overall size or how quickly they can be done, but whether the costs of providing that infrastructure are less than the benefits that the infrastructure will provide.
But Saul Eslake has a word of warning about the government's reliance on Victorians behaving badly.
The Victorian government will collect so much in fines in the 2012-13 year that if all of a sudden none of us broke the law, the Victorian government would have a deficit of $350 million on its operating budget rather than the surplus of $150 million that it expects.